Well, it's exactly 1 week, almost to the minute, since we left Whitehills. We are 60 miles from the Arctic Circle. We've sailed about 450 miles or so in that week. The weather, as you can see today, or this afternoon, absolutely perfect. We have a force 3 to 4 southwesterly, so we're running before it, wind on the port quarter. And having an absolutely wonderful afternoon sailing. Well, we're coming up to the first important milestone of this voyage. We have a look in here on the GPS. There we are. We'll see that we're getting very close to 6633, which is the Arctic Circle. And the time, 2:30, just coming up to that. We actually left Whitehills at 2:15 exactly 8 days ago, so it's taken 8 days and 15 minutes. Pretty much exactly 9 degrees of latitude. So about 540 nautical miles, and that's the first big milestone, as I said. Great for Mingming II, because this is the second time that she's passed the Arctic Circle. So she has now matched Mingming, who also sailed north into the Arctic twice. There we are, that was it right at that moment. That's assuming it's 6633. It's something there or thereabouts. So Mingming II is now into the Arctic for the second time in her reinvigorated career here. And so we have our traditions aboard our ships, and so we have to celebrate that moment in the time-honoured way. So Mingming II crosses into the Arctic Circle yet again. Well, it's Saturday 14th of July, so I've been at sea for 12-13 days now, and we just a few minutes ago passed 72 degrees north, so we've made 14.5 degrees of northing. And to get to Prince Karl's Foreland, which is going to be our landfall hopefully at Svalbard, we just have another 6 degrees to do. Another 360 miles, so we're getting close. We've still got southwesterly. This is a light southwesterly. We've had mainly southwesterlies force 4 to 5, day after day after day, pushing us along very nicely. This has eased off and have now jibed. We've got the wind on the starboard quarter to start bringing us in gently to the land. As you hopefully can see on this video, we're in the typical weather of these latitudes this time of year, which is fog, fog, fog. Mingming has been great so far. The south steering, as ever, has been superb. At the moment there's just a very, very light breeze, a very, very light following breeze, but with 5 panels set, not the full rig because it was still rolling around a bit after heavier weather overnight, so I don't want to stress the rig or the mast too much, but we're still going along at a good 3 knots, maybe 3.5 knots. So there we are within 360 miles now of the northwest coast of Svalbard. Well, it's Tuesday 17th of July, so we've been at sea for 2 weeks and 1 day now and a couple of hours. Made fantastic progress for the first couple of weeks, averaging about 75 miles a day, and we're now in about 74 degrees 30 north, but we seem to have hit the Arctic high, maybe a little bit prematurely, and for the last day or so we have been in these amazingly calm conditions. The slightest of breezes, we've had to stop a number of times, and as you can see, that is an oily, windless sea. But we're actually making progress, and I don't normally do this kind of thing, but I've actually fired up the GPS just out of interest to see what sort of speed we're making here, because the whole point of the huge rig that Mingming II has, which is fully set here, all 7 panels of it with Triple H turbo, all the way up there. The whole point of this rig is that in these sort of typical windless conditions, or almost windless conditions of the Arctic, that it will just keep us moving in a way which Mingming would not move. I couldn't have had us sailing in this. But if we have a look here, the GPS, if I can find it, there we are, speed. I think we're getting a little bit of help from the North Atlantic current here as well, maybe half a knot at the most, but you can see that we're, you know, between 1.4 and 2 knots or so. Obviously it's up and down a lot all the time, but we're certainly making well over a knot, perhaps about 1.4, 1.5 knots average, despite the fact that there's really no wind to talk of. Although having said that, I can now see some cat's paws coming in, but that happens from time to time, then they go away. It's just totally gutless at the moment. But if we can make 1.5 knots even through this, well, it's 36 miles a day. It all mounts up. It's not 75, but it's better than nothing. So it is, I do find it gratifying, because that was the whole point of the of this rather unusual rig. It was designed specifically for these conditions, and it does seem to deliver what I hoped it would. So there we are, we're about 180 miles due west of Bear Island, and we're about 180-200 miles or so from the landfall I hope to make soon, which is Prince Karl's Foreland in northwest Spitsbergen. So we are getting there. Well, I don't know whether this is going to work. I'm filming from inside the observation pod, and we'll probably be getting condensation on the windows. We're pretty much due west now of the South Cape of Spitsbergen, coming up to 76.30 north, thereabouts. We've got a strong easterly blowing here. It's blowing about 4.6 or so, and we're going to windward with 2 panels set. It's quite lively, but we're making a good course. Sticking with the sail that we've got. So with those 2 panels set, Mingming II can do very well to windward in a good breeze, which is nice to know. Anyway, I'm not going to overdo this, but I just thought it might be fun to see if we can get a bit of film from. Oh, that's not going to work very much. Yeah, we've got a lot of spray, a lot of condensation, but I'm still nice and warm and snug in here as we power our way through the waves.